we are continuing to pull back the curtain on Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's historic win. Mamdani, who is 34 years old, is set to make history as one of the city's youngest mayors in more than a century. It was his campaign messaging that galvanized younger voters in particular, those who were fed up with the status quo of the Democratic establishment. My next guest, Katz, is one of the engineers behind Mamdani's success, especially with the youth vote. He is a 26-year-old campaign strategist who served as a senior advisor to Mamdani. He has also worked on a number of campaigns around the country, including for Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. Welcome to the program. Great to see you.
Thanks so much for having me, Mayor. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. How did you get connected up with the Zohran Mamdani campaign?
In about April of 2024, some folks put us on a group text together, and he asked to get coffee at a Kawa house in Astoria. And I sat down, quasi-skeptical, and within 2 minutes, I knew that he would be the next mayor of New York.
What did you hear in those 2 minutes?
Just a clear vision of what the crisis was that was facing New York, an affordability crisis, a lack of faith in government. And he countered it with a clear vision of how government could actually make people's lives better, that government could take on this affordability crisis, and that there are many things that a mayor can do, and that we could campaign off of a politics investing in what's possible, not just kind of held back by what has been, that we could show up in communities that had been left behind, that we could energize young people disenfranchised with our politics and who didn't see their future in our city, and build a new coalition to bring in a new day in our city.
A lot of candidates and their consultants say, we're going to expand the electorate, we're going to bring young people in, we're going to build excitement. They haven't been able to do it, but you did. Why?
Because I think for Zohran, it wasn't a slogan, it was a guiding belief. And I think oftentimes when you hear that, when consultants say it or politicians say it, what they're doing is in the last 2 weeks of a campaign, sending some mailers saying, hey, come out and vote for us, or doing a concert somewhere and asking young people who've been ignored for the previous year of the campaign to show up. With Zohran, it was an inherent belief in the campaign was that no person should be left behind, no community should be left behind, that all of these people who've been so essential to the culture of our city, but have been on the fringes of the politics of our city, and that it didn't have to be that way. And so he didn't wait until April of the election year to start talking to young people. He was talking to young people on day one of the election. He didn't wait until May of the election year to reach out in different languages to immigrant communities, to show up in their places of worship, in their local businesses, in their restaurants. He was doing that the entire campaign because it's his vision for the city.
Okay, there are a lot of people who are taking notes right now, a lot of would-be candidates and consultants. A little bit of your background. You went to PS 234, you're from Tribeca.
I did, PS 234, shout out,
yeah. Beacon High School, Skidmore College, and you had the sense to move to Brooklyn with the rest of us, so.
My mom's very upset about it.
Okay, well, I'm sure she's very proud of you right about now. But you come from a showbiz family, meaning your father, I think, is the one people would know. David Katz is a screenwriter whose credits include American Gigolo,
yes,
the series, and he has a credit on Ray Donovan, actually, a show that a lot of, I know, our viewers like. And you actually sort of have some experience in showbiz that I think is probably playing out now in your role as a political strategist.
Absolutely. When growing up, I thought that's what I wanted to do, and grew up on sets, working as a production assistant, shadowing my dad on different productions. And I think what attracted me to that was that arts and entertainment are a way to connect with people, to make people feel something, to brighten their day a little bit, to expand their vision of what's possible. And what I've come to see is that politics can be that too. That we can tell a story that lifts people up, that gives them hope, that makes them feel something, feel part of something larger, and ease the burden just a little bit. And that there's an importance in a society and a culture that's more isolating than ever, that there's a responsibility we all have to bring people together, to make people not feel so alone. And I think that that's something that arts can do, and that's also something that our politics can do if we have the right candidates.
Was there an arc? It's interesting because I'm thinking you probably have this in common with Zohran Mamdani, who also grew up as a production assistant working on his mom's movie sets. But was there an arc? Was there sort of a large story throughout this, or is it just kind of episodes of, hey, look, here's hope, here's solution, please feel better, and then we'll tell a different version of that next week?
I think Zohran's campaign was him telling a story of what this city could be, and also of what city government is. And I think there's so many people, again, who are yet to have lived in this city for decades, but have yet to see themselves reflected in the way politicians talk about this city. And to tell a story where that they're not just side characters, but main characters, was deeply impactful. And then on top of that, I think there was the affordability agenda does not just exist in a vacuum. It exists in the context of a larger story about what is government's role in our city. That it is not government's job to just sit by on the sidelines while working people are pushed out of this city, but that there is an affordability crisis, and it is government's job to address it.
When people say, when Mamdani's critics say that the rent freeze and some of the other proposals won't work or can't get done, that kind of a thing, is this an instance where what they actually seriously fear is that it will succeed and that a lot of their assumptions and maybe a lot of their financial and political interests are going to crumble underneath that?
I don't think Bill Ackman spent $4 million against Zohran Mamdani because he thought he wasn't going to deliver universal child care, that he wasn't going to make buses fast and free, or that he wasn't going to freeze the rent. I think these are things that Zohran Mamdani can do. They're things that Mayor Mamdani will do. And they're things that are going to raise the quality of life for all New Yorkers. And that's something even many of the people who've opposed some of these policies. Universal child care, when the city right now is spending over $10 billion on universal child care, the crisis is not addressing universal child care. The crisis is not addressing the slowest buses in the nation and making them fast and free. The crisis is that rent is unaffordable for everyone, or just about everyone right now. It would be insane to not do everything in city government's power to freeze that rent. And I think that the fear is oftentimes connected to other things, not connected to a lack of faith in his ability to get them through, or a lack of belief that these will make people's lives better.
I sometimes wonder if some of the policymakers and politicians think that, if he does get this done, because when I talked with Dean Foulahan, the incoming first deputy mayor, he said, this isn't going to be as hard as people think.
I think that's right.
and he knows government, and it dawned on me for the first time, there's like, if they pull this off, there are going to be a lot of people with egg on their face, so to speak, sort of saying, wow, we spent, $40 million literally explaining why this couldn't get done. And then these folks came in and they got it done.
Well, I think a lot of those people already have egg on their faces because they're the same people who said in April that he would never win a Democratic primary. They're the same people who said 9 months before that he would never even be viable. They're the same people who said it would all crumble in a general election. And I think that this is, something about Zohran. Is he demands a culture of excellence. He pursues excellence relentlessly. And it was that culture that took the campaign from polling tied with somebody else at 1% to defeating and toppling a political dynasty. And I think it's going to be that same culture of excellence that delivers this agenda in City Hall. And it's going to be some of those same people with egg on their face.
Coming down the home stretch of the campaign, it got unusually vicious. There were, some of these ads that came out that were just horrible, just inexcusable. Did you all consider answering in kind or making a big deal about it and having a big press conference and so forth? I mean, I do remember the speech that Mamdani gave that was addressed to the Muslim population, but under the circumstances, you all were somewhat restrained, I thought.
I think that there's no room for the politics of Islamophobia, or even frankly for the politics of Andrew Cuomo in our city. They were willing to do anything they thought was needed to win, and that included horrible, blatantly racist things. And I think we felt like the proper way to address it was what Zohran did, which was speak exactly to the Muslim community. Because those horrible ads, they were hurtful to Zohran, to his family, but he wasn't concerned about that. He's concerned about the people who weren't the Democratic nominee or aren't the mayor-elect. And what does that say? What kind of permission structure does that create? And that we just can't have room for that in our city anymore. I think one thing that's really encouraging after the election is that this was a vision that was rejected by New Yorkers. New Yorkers were exposed to millions and millions of dollars in attack ads saying the worst, most horrible things imaginable, and they chose hope instead. They chose unity instead. They chose a different vision for New York. And I hope that anyone watching who's thinking about running for office, who's thinking about making ads to run for office, keeps that in mind, that there is no room for the politics of Andrew Cuomo in our city anymore.
Okay. We will see you out on the campaign trail because you're always working on these other campaigns all around the country. We want to hear about those. I know your phone's ringing off the hook these days. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you so much, Errol.
Okay.